How do you keep balance between work, life, health, and family?
Understand what the quadrants of life work, and then intentionally invest time or reinvest time as needed. So the quadrants of life, like imagine a 4 quadrant grid. Top left is work, top right is family and friends, bottom left is spiritual, bottom right, it's interests, hobbies, and passions. So work, what I mean by work is this is what you do to draw revenue, like how you get paid basically. Nothing goes in there that isn't work, or that isn't revenue generating. Family and friends, it's how people define family and friends for them. Some people have what would be considered more like the traditional idea of a family. So people you're related to, and it could be a partner, it could be kids, it could be your parents, your brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever it is. Other people don't have that. And so they have friends, or they have friends that are like family. Some people include pets in this as well. Spiritual, this is however people define it. But what I mean by that specifically, it's that thing that helps you understand that you live in like a giant, beautiful, amazing world. It's a thing that gives you perspective that what you're experiencing in life is just a blip in time in a world that has like a ton of amazing things. So for some people, that's going to be religion. Some people are religious. I'm not a religious person. For other people, it's going to be things that get them engaged with life from a bigger perspective. So for me, I love running. So I like running it in along the seawall in Vancouver. And for me, it's a totally spiritual thing. It gets me connected to the idea that I live in a huge city full of tons of people I don't know who are out living all of their own lives. If I have like some thing that like I'm really stressed or anxious about or worried about, I go for a run. And of course the exercise helps, but that idea that like I'm not just like this little corner of my world isn't everything. There's everything. Life is full of, there's so much more. Life is full of so much possibility. For me, that's like a real spiritual thing. So spirituality, whatever that means to people, think of that. And then the last one is interests, hobbies, and passions. When I think of interests, I think of things that you're willing to put time and money into, but you don't care if you get better at it, and you're not necessarily interested in being part of the culture that surrounds it. So for example, I love sneakers. I really love like Air Max 1s, Air Max 90s, love Sambas. I have a lot, like I love Vans. I just like sneakers. I have a lot of sneakers. So I spend a lot of time and money on it. Um, but I'm not trying to have like the most amazing sneaker collection. I don't have like a $3,000 pair of shoes or anything. And also, I'm not a part of sneaker culture. Like that's just not where I spend my time. So I'm not invested in the community around it. So for me, it's just an interest. A hobby is something that you'll put time and money into, but you're actively interested in getting better at it. But you don't necessarily care about being part of the culture that's involved with it. So triathlons, I like triathlons a lot, and I spend time and money on it. And I am interested in getting better at it. Like each time I do one, I want to do it better. But I'm not part of triathlon culture. Like I don't really know other people who do triathlons. It's not part of my social circle. And then there's passions. Passions are things you're going to spend time and money on. You're actively trying to get better, and being part of the culture and the community that surrounds it matters to you. So for me, that would be music. I spend a lot of time and money on it. I'm always trying to write better and better songs and be in better and better bands, know more and more about music. And also like being connected to the music scene and like having friends within that world and really knowing what's going on totally matters to me. So all 4 of those things are about the balance of life. And that's like taking the complexity of life and breaking it down into these like 4 simple quadrants, because there's like tons of things you can put in each one of these buckets. So you only have 100% of your time though, 100% of your energy. And most people, when they're professionals, they spend the bulk of their time and energy on work. That's where you're spending the most of your time. And that's not bad. So if you think of the number 100%, or the percentage 100 of 100, you're spending probably a huge of a huge chunk of that 100% in work. And that's not bad. That's normal, especially when you're kind of like mid to late career, because you're doing like a huge push at that point. It just means that you know where you're spending your time and energy, and that you're making good sense of that remaining time. So let's just say I spend 60% of my energy and time at work. That means I got 40% left, and I split that 40% up across those 3 other areas. Where I'm splitting up that 40% should be based on where I'm getting the most satisfaction. I'm a family person. I have a wonderful wife and 3 amazing kids, and my mom lives with us, and I have a sister and my dad and my dogs. I spend the bulk of my 40% with my family. And that leaves just a little bit of time for spiritual and a little bit of time for interests, hobbies, and passions. That's great because I get the greatest return out of my family. And that's the best investment. People need to figure out like that extra time that you have outside of work, where you're going to invest that time. But what that also means is you're going to go through periods of your life where you have to reinvest energy in different places. So as an example, let's say you've got your life balanced out where you've got 60% at work and then 40% is invested in other areas of your life. But let's say you've got a family emergency where that energy that it takes to attend to that has to come from somewhere. So you're going to pull some energy from work. You're going to pull some energy from spiritual. You'll pull some energy from interests, hobbies, and passion and reinvest or invest it in your family. Or let's say you're training for a triathlon. That's going to take more time than I usually spend on it. So I'm going to pull energy from different areas and then I'm going to invest it there. Life doesn't just happen. Like we put energy places based on the need at the time. But what it gets freaky, and when I think about work-life balance, is it's very easy to get stuck. So if like you're in a time of your career or you've gone through a really stressful period in your family, or you're super hyper focused on your passions or something that's spiritual, it can get really easy to get stuck and not realize that you're overinvested in an area and you don't know how to pull that energy back. And that means you're not living a balanced life. One of the things that I think people get a little, they don't pay enough attention to is like they talk a lot about work-life balance, but people get focused on all sorts of things that take them out of balance. So it's not just work-life. People could be spending too much time with their buddies. They could be drinking too much. They could be spending too much time exercising. They could be spending too much time on the internet. Life isn't just work and life balance. It's just life balance. And how you split up your time across those 4 quadrants you should really consider where you're spending your time, but you should also consider when you claw back time from other places that might have gone stuck and reinvest it other places. It is an intentional practice. And I don't think people should be like, I'm going to spend more time with my kids and be that general. I think you should really look at the percentage, break it down. This is the percentage of time that I think I'm spending in these areas, and then try and pull percentages from other places, know what that looks like in terms of tasks, and then redeploy that energy somewhere else. It is intentional. It takes us out of vagueness. Work isn't the enemy. I'd say most people need work, like really need work. And that doesn't necessarily just mean your career, but like it's not work versus life. Like work is a part of life. It's about finding that right balance between all of them, where balance isn't 100% is equally divided across those 4 things. It's that the investment is about what gets you the most returns, where you get the most satisfaction, while knowing most of us have to have most of our energy put in work for large periods of our career.